Hi there, this is Solitary Ronan from Solitary Ronan Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review comes from 2004, and it's Johnnie To's Breaking News. And this is Chameleon Films Blu-ray #1. I think they also did Summer Time Machine, or Summertime Time Machine, which is also out on Third Window. You also get a really nice booklet as well. Johnnie To is kind of underrated, and I admit I kind of underrate him as well. I do have rather a lot of Johnnie To films. I think I had him in my Solid Technicians category when I did director categories, probably about 3 or 4 years ago now. He's a director that for me has never made a great film, but every film I've seen by him is good to very good. So again, it's that kind of question of, you know, would you take a director who's made one great film and then nothing really else, or would you take a director that has such a high quality body of work without necessarily making a masterpiece? Obviously it's all subjective, but this is one of the best Johnnie To's, I would say. But Johnnie To me is perhaps a little bit like John Sayles. It's like the best, or your favourite Johnnie To film's probably the last one you watched. But obviously Throwdown has got a couple of Blu-ray releases in Criterion, Eureka, PTU's out on Eureka. Obviously Sparrow. I think the first Johnnie To film I saw was The Mission, which I don't believe has a Blu-ray release. Obviously got Election and Election 2. I've got a feeling they might be in Chameleon as well, but I could be wrong. So he does have a bunch of films. Again, Mad Detectives in Eureka as well. You could argue they're a bit samey and stuff like that because he kind of works in the same kind of genre a lot of the time. But again, I don't think that should diminish his work. So Breaking News 2004, but it's still kind of relevant today because it's really about how the media and to some extent the police kind of manipulate real life to kind of make their own point about things, as if the media would ever make stuff up. But also the police, because the police is ruled by statistics. You know, that's how people get promotions in the police, is by statistics. So obviously things can be massaged to suit their own need. So Breaking News is kind of interesting in how it starts. There's a wonderful 7-minute single take as we drift from the street into an apartment and back out the street, and then we go into a lengthened shootout and car chase. But it's interesting the fact the police are waiting for a crew to make their move. But usually in films like this, we see the crew have a successful job first, and then we're into, you know, the next big job and the police getting involved. But this literally just starts with them coming out the door, and it all kicks off. So they haven't even done their big job yet. So it's really kind of an interesting take on this kind of film. It stars Richie Jen and Nick Chung, Kelly Chen and Simon Yam, who's a Johnnie To regular. I'm sure he was in the election films and many others. He just makes a small kind of appearance as Kelly Chen's father, and she plays a hard-headed police official who goes on instinct and intuition, but she's savvy with technology and how the media works and everything like that. And Nick Chung is the cop on the street, basically. So it goes from action sequence at the start. There's a wonderful 7-minute single take as the camera kind of drifts. This isn't the modern single take where they just adjust it digitally to make it into a single take. This is proper camera movement, and obviously Johnnie To is famous for doing really fluid action sequences and doing interesting things with the camera. But as with Johnnie To, there's always a human touch as well. His films are never just kind of cold action films. There's always a humanity to them. Everybody's trying to prove themselves to different people. So it ends up with the crew being trapped in an apartment building, and they take a father and his 2 kids hostage. Again, the father is a familiar face to Johnnie To fans as well. And then it becomes a battle of wits. So at the end of the first kind of shootout and chase where the criminals escape, there's a scene caught on camera of a cop with his hands in the air surrendering, and of course this leads to bad publicity about how people in Hong Kong are supposed to protect themselves if the police can't even help or have given up. And this kind of starts Kelly Chen on the road of, we need to do something about this, we need to create good publicity. So we're going to start sending people in, and then we're going to feed the news and footage to the public. But again, a beautiful Johnnie To touch is the criminals ask for food, and the father, who's not the greatest father in the world, he won't be applying for any awards, he's not really that good at cooking, so the criminals actually start cooking a meal and kind of talking, and then they have this big slap up meal. And of course, to counteract this, Kelly Chen says, oh yeah, give all the police their lunch as well and make a big show of it, give lunch to the reporters and make a big show of it, see, because we need our lunch as well. So that's a beautiful little Johnnie To touch of humanity. But obviously there's breathtaking action as well. The claustrophobic corridors in the apartment building really lend itself to heart-pounding running about. So while the 4 members of the crew are kind of split up, they bump into another 2 members of some other criminal activity, and of course they kind of bond. The lunchtime scene is wonderful because it's almost like a last supper, because they know the chances of getting out are pretty slim. But it's just so wonderfully done. I mean, again, a lot of Johnnie To films, you don't want to get into the minutiae or the details too much. And yes, it does form some kind of familiarity and the tropes of these kind of films. But again, it's shot so energetically. And again, with all Johnnie To films, it's acted really well. And it's just an absolute blast. So again, is there kind of deep meaning to the film? Probably not. I mean, again, but it's just so well done and so enjoyable. He breaks up what could be kind of a little bit of monotony or whatever by using split screens to see where the different pairs of guys are within the building. There's a nice idea of how to escape by the criminals. So there's always something going on. It's only an hour and a half, as most Johnnie To films are. He doesn't really hang about. He's a very economical filmmaker. And and much more than other action directors, he is interested in character. You know, it's not just an excuse to run about and shoot guns off. So you do root for people that, again, you're not supposed to root for in a normal society. It's just another wonderful Johnnie To film. I think it's one of his best. But again, how do you judge what's the best Johnnie To film? It's quite difficult, because again, he has a pretty high batting average for his entire career, because he's had a long career. So this one, it's got a booklet, it's got a commentary by Frank Jeng, who does obviously a lot of commentaries for Third Window, etc. And there's a propaganda duel, a newly extended video essay on breaking news, again how the police and because there is an event in the film that the police sent out as footage to the public, but they trim it a little bit, and then the criminals manage, using the little boy's computer, to send out the proper version, which obviously gets the police into some bother. Newly translated and improved optional subtitles. There's a Melbourne International Film Festival 2004 QA with Johnnie To, and there's newly unearthed interviews from Cannes 2004 with Johnnie To, Kelly Chen and Nick Chung. There's behind the scenes, there's a deleted scene which is in Mandarin only, a photo gallery and a trailer. So it's a really nice release. The film looks immaculate. It's an absolutely gorgeous print. It's lovely in widescreen. See it on a screen as big as possible to get the full Johnnie To effect. So that's breaking news. I would highly recommend it if you can get your hands on it, because it is, for me, one of Johnnie To's best. So thanks very much for watching this random review of Breaking News. Please let me know if you've seen it and what you think about it, and hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.